Hello all, welcome to Up The Poshcast, the Poshcast made by the fans for the fans. Grab yourself a drink, put your feet up and listen in. And by the way, there could be some strong language.
Hello everyone, we are recording after another topsy-turvy Peterborough United match, which has been a theme of this season. Posh came out on top today after a 4-3 win at Notts County to make it to the third round of the FA Cup. We've got tonight 4 of us here. We've got Lodz, we've got Ashley, we've got Dell, and we've got myself, John. Dell, you were at London Road today. Give us a summary of the game, please.
Summary of the game. Overall, I enjoyed the game because it's one of them games where there was goals, plenty of goals. I think we was quite unlucky with quite a lot of the ricochets, etc. We was either shit or shit hot, and it was quite a bizarre game, but it was an enjoyable game, if that makes sense, which we'll go into the meat and the bones very shortly. But I think we started the game really, really well. We come out looking really strong. Obviously got the first goal. And I just thought it'd be a landslide from there, if I'm honest. I thought we were just going to go bang, 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 score loads of goals. And obviously then they scored 2 quick goals and it changed it. I think they had 3 shots on target and scored 3 goals. Unless my stats are wrong, because I'm not very good with stats. But the game itself, I actually enjoyed. As a neutral, I think anybody who turn into that and leave turn the telly off when they're finished or turn up and be really satisfied, because it was an enjoyable game from my point of view. There was some mistakes happening. There was a lot of luck that didn't go our way, and I mentioned luck in the last pod. Actually, you need a bit of luck, and I don't think we're really getting it. And some of our forward play was outstanding, I believe. But overall, we can't be disappointed. We won the game. It's a FA Cup. We're in at the third round, which we should always want to. I know we had the debate the other week about how should we have a strong team, weak team, this team. I was actually quite impressed with the strong team that we did put out, and I'm quite pleased that we did. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the draw, but overall, I'm happy with the game. I enjoyed it. There's areas to improve, which we'll go on to in a minute. But yeah, I don't think we can complain too much. We go to watch a football to be entertained. If no fucker was entertained after watching that again today, what are we doing?
That's exactly the point that I was about to make, Del, is that everybody goes to football to be entertained, don't they, and pays their money. And yet again, it's another unreal performance and an absolutely shocking performance at exactly the same time. Like you said, Del, I thought that we probably could have scored another 3-4 goals if the chances had dropped to us right, but we probably would have conceded another 3 or 4 if we'd have scored 3 or 4 more. I wasn't too bothered about whether we progressed or not, but like you say, it did feel like we were sort of on top to start with for the first 10 minutes, and then we all of a sudden flash and we've conceded 2. And then it was just a case of working our way back into the game, wasn't it? I think that we are now at the point now where we are just going to have to accept the fact that we aren't going to keep clean sheets. I don't think it matters what we do. I don't think it matters whether we've got anybody there. I think that it's just going to have to be a case of we have these 6 attacking players, and actually probably 8 if you include the right back and left back in this. And we just need to attack, because when we attack, we are absolutely fantastic. And it's a similar story to what we said before, but I just think that it's got to be that entertainment. It's got to be that classic Peterborough United. And that's the way that we need to move forwards into the Christmas period.
See, what I'm about to say is going to sound, I guess, very ungrateful. But I think, look, Posh's style of football is wonderfully entertaining. We're really front-footed. I always want Peterborough United to play on the front foot and play attacking football. And I said that when we appointed someone like Steve Evans. I was so against the appointment because he plays boring football. And I like to watch football and be entertained. However, I'm at a point now where us conceding these stupid goals is not entertaining me. It's frustrating me. And I think if it was once in a blue moon, that we were letting in 2-3 goals at home, a 4-3 at home, thriller, brilliant. But I'm seeing it too much. And actually, I'm finding it really frustrating for the sense that we are so good going forward that this defence, they don't even need to keep clean sheets. They need to keep 1 goal out of their net and we're going to win the majority of matches. And actually, I'm not being entertained by it now. I'm finding it really frustrating to watch because I'm seeing a brilliant football team be completely undermined by their back four, and I'm not finding that entertaining. In my opinion, it's not goals that are wonderfully carved open by the opposition teams. They're stupid goals to give away, and it's constant. So I don't know. Look, we are a good watch, but I'm finding it more frustrating than entertaining at this point.
Do you know what, John? I see your point. I generally do see your point about feeling frustrated. But I think I'm at the stage now where, we're near enough halfway through a season where for whatever reason, we can't fix it at the back. Let's not be too critical, but each individual player is not actually that bad. Okay, if you said, Warren is okay, you got Manny is okay, all right, it's not been the last few games. Donnelly on his day is okay. So there's lots of individual ones. They're all good. But at the moment, for some reason, as a back line, as a team, and even Bilo or whatever, Jed, they're all on the day can be good. But for some reason, it's not gelling and it isn't working. And we are making these silly mistakes, which is the frustrating side of it. But just going back to you saying, is it being frustrating? Yes, it is. Am I still being entertained? Yes, I am. I think it's because I'm learned to accept it, if that makes sense. We are going to make a mistake here and there. We are going to give away a goal. We're not the only team that does it. We're not the only team that give away goals. We're a League One team, and I think we have to accept we are going to make mistakes. We are going to give away stupid goals. We are going to make stupid errors. And whilst we've got the front line doing what they're doing and banging the goals in, I think we just have to, at the moment, potentially embrace it. I know it's not the solution, but we know it's going to happen. I don't think we should get too up about it because we're always going to be scoring the goals. Do you know what I mean? As well as we keep scoring the goals, then if we've got to score 7, then they score 6, and so be it. Because at the moment, whatever we try to do, we're struggling to cut out these mistakes. Unless we do a massive overhaul in the January transfer window and change the whole back 5 or whatever, we're still going to have them. So I'm not too frustrated. It is what it is. I think I've learned to accept that we are going to concede a lot of goals and make a lot of mistakes at the back.
I think you're right, Dale, in what you say, that we're not the only team that's conceding these goals, but we are the only team that are pushing the playoffs, or at least have ambitions of being in the playoffs, that are conceding this volume of goals. So, we can look at it and compare ourselves to Burton, but we don't want to be where Burton are. We want to be in the top 6. And unless we address it, we're not going to be there, frankly. Lodz, where do you stand on this?
Yeah, listen, we need to sort the defence out big time. And I don't really know what's happened. I don't know if it was poor planning, but if you look at all of the back 5, including the goalkeeper as well, we've had issues with all the positions. We've not planned to play a certain back 5 and stuck with it for the first half of the season, or a third, or however many games we've played now. I mean, we started the season with Steer. We've changed to Bilo. We've been debating whether Curtis or Dornelli should be our right back all season so far, and Katongo's played there today, and I thought he's put in a really good performance, probably better than what either of them two have played this season. Our centre-back pairing, I don't think we planned it to be Manny and Volin, but they seem to be the ones that are playing every week. Manny's done really well up to the last couple of weeks. I think it's time we probably take him out of the team now. I don't think he had the expectations of being as good as he was. I think he surprised everyone. But it's become evident he's also part of the problem. Volin, I don't think he was great today. I think he should probably come out, but there isn't really a lot else you can put in. It looks like Nevitt and Volin are going to be playing together against Burton due to Manny's suspension. And then at left back, you've got, obviously, Rio had his injury. We didn't plan to play Sparks because he wasn't at the club at the time. But you've got another debate there, whether you bring Rio straight back in or whether you continue to play Sparks. And again, today, we played Curtis, and I think he played quite well at left back. So it's strange to be this far into the season. I mean, it's December in a couple of days, and we still don't know who's the strongest in any position of the back 5. It's just a really strange situation to be in, and I think we need to address it in January.
I know that we've mentioned mistakes today, but to the best of my knowledge, I don't think that the first 2 goals were mistakes and stuff. It was just a defender being beaten in the air, wasn't it? was what happened. And actually, when you think about it, it's the defense switching off that is the issue. The corner comes in, they expect that it's going to spin out. I think this is for the second goal. They expect that it's going to spin out, and then they all stop because they're expecting it to be a goal kick or another corner, and then the ball comes back in, and they just aren't ready for it. The mistake that's happened today is Bila Kapic not wearing the correct boots, which has ended up meaning that he's fallen flat on his arse. I can't see any other mistakes in the goals that we've conceded other than a young group of footballers that are not switched on. Like I said last week, they are not switched on for 100 plus minutes of football at the moment. And that is the mistake at the moment.
I agree. Not really mistakes as such. The Bilo one is a bit... It happens. It's a freak goal, for fuck's sake. You look at the way the wind caught the ball as well. Yeah, he should have had a better kick, but why are we kicking it long? We never kick it long. You know what I mean? It's like the last few minutes of the game, why don't we just keep hold of the ball like we normally do, rather than what we've done. But anyway, that's from the young, inexperienced team that we have. We need to see out the games a little bit better than what we're doing. The game management from our boys needs to improve, no doubt about it. But as you say, the first two goals, if you want to point a finger at somebody, who can you point a finger at individually? You can't, because they weren't the best goals in the world, but they're the sort of goals that happen. They're sort of goals that we score week in, week out. So is it always a defender's mistake when we score? The opposition's defender's mistake, I'm trying to say, or are we not giving our strikers enough credit for when we score the goals? So it is what it is. They scored two okay goals. Billows was a little bit of it is what it is. Freak goal, absolute freak.
I don't think you can say the first two goals were down to mistake, but we were told at the beginning of the season that we were bringing Manny into the team, and we've signed Oscar Volin to add a bit of height and a bit more aerial dominance to the back line, and we're going to sacrifice our ball playing ability. We knew we weren't going to be able to replace Josh Snyder and Ronnie Edwards' quality on the ball. But we decided to go down the route of signing some bigger defenders. We keep conceding similar goals. We're getting beaten in the air constantly. I don't think it's a mistake. I don't think Manny's made a mistake. I would like my 6'6" centre back to be a bit more dominant in the air and cut out both of those first two goals. And I think Fergie said the same thing to him at half time, and that's the reason why he came off.
Yeah, look, I think that we all know the role that Manny plays at our set pieces is that he tries to keep himself free when we're attacking, and he tries to keep himself free when we're defending. So I'm not going to say that he's not to blame, because when you have somebody that's free, you would expect them to, like you say, Lodz, to win every header in the box. And for large parts of this season so far, he has done that. It just seems that, unfortunately, he's always the one that's sort of nearest to the guy that's put the ball in the back of the net. And maybe that's because somebody's lost their man. You don't ever sort of see it because you don't see enough of a clip. But like you say, 6'5", 6'6", you would expect them to be winning every single header. That is for sure.
Well, we have the January transfer window coming. And let's face it, we've already said we're bringing in one player. Position unknown, but I think we're probably largely in agreement that it will be a defender. At Southampton, there is a defender that we had last season that did very, very well, who isn't playing football and has been loan listed. Now, the theory is that he will be going to the Championship. But again, we're talking hypotheticals here. Del, if you had a chance to bring Ronnie Edwards back to this football club, would you do it?
No, I wouldn't. And the reason being is, I think what we try to do at the club at the moment, and what we have been for many years now, is to develop our own players and to build from our own players, from our own pool of thingies. And I think, let's be honest, Ronnie Edwards has improved our defence no end, and he would probably shore it up, and we could probably start keeping some clean sheets, and we could probably go forward. He would be a great asset, but it's only short term. I think if we want to sort of like build something to move on, we need to continue with our own players, not loan players. I'm even not a big fan of Sam Curtis, and I think we've all sort of said it before. Being a loan player, like, it's only a youngster. Why don't we sort of develop our own youngsters, and and get the best out of them. They're going to make mistakes. So how are they ever going to learn if they're not playing? And we keep saying in the past, well, let's send our player out on loan to here, to there, to lower league. Develop our own players, develop our own. I'm not saying Ronnie Edwards is a shit player or anything like that. I just think the ship has sailed with Ronnie Edwards. Good luck to him. He's better than League One. Let him go and play in the Championship. I don't think he's a Premier class player, but definitely a good Championship, and I think that's where he should be. And also think from a personal point of view from Ronnie Edwards, I think it'll be a big down step if he was to come back to League One with Peterborough. I know there may be the affection there, the fondness of coming back to Peterborough to help him out and do a job, but I think for his career, I think he needs to stay in the go to the Championship.
So I think I agree almost with everything you said there, Dale, apart from the point that whether we had the chance to bring Ronnie back, I think it's a no-brainer that you go and get him. And I totally agree with you that in an ideal world, you go and develop your own players. And I would love someone like Fernandez or Valin or even George Nevitt to play the season out and develop. But I feel like you've got way more patience than I have because they've had long enough now. And actually, someone like Fernandez is getting worse. His performances are going downhill. And I would argue the same with Oscar Valin. I thought he looked pretty competent in the first few games that he played. And I think he's got progressively worse. And the amount of goals that we're shipping at this point, I'm not sure it's actually doing their development that good. Yes, they might learn from their errors and things like that. But also, you look at someone like Bila Kapic last season when he started making these errors and it sort of spiraled out of control. And his performances just went downhill and downhill because his confidence was shot and he was probably left in the team too long. I think there's a danger that we're doing this to our own defenders now at this point because there's no way they're walking into that dressing room feeling good. They're conceding 2 goals. We play 2 League 2 teams and conceded 2 goals to them. They're constantly the ones getting the abuse. They are letting the side down, and there's no way of shirking that everyone can see it's plain as day. At what point do you think that the best thing you can do to protect them is actually to take them out of the team? We've sat here tonight and we've said it feels like it's about the right time to take Valin out of the team. It feels like it's the right time to take Fernandez out of the team. Well, ultimately we can't do that. So if there's a player of Ronnie Edwards' quality on the market who is a massive upgrade on what we have, let's face it, we may well achieve our aims this season, even with an 8-point deficit to the playoffs, if we improve our defense, because our attack is that good. Like I say, if we can cut our goals conceded per game down to 1 goal a game, we will make the playoffs. There's no doubt about it in my mind because we're that good going forward. So if you have a player of that quality on the market, it would be remiss of us, in my opinion, not to go and test the waters. I think he'll go to the Championship, but I think it's a no-brainer if we've got the opportunity that you do it.
I get all that. I do get all that. But I just a really quick one on something you did say. I am more patient than most because I'm old and I've seen all this shit, so it is what it is. Sometimes give the youngsters a go. But yeah. And also, to be fair, even when we had Ronnie and Josh Knight, etc., how many goals did we concede last season and the season before? Shitloads. So it's not necessarily going to keep us clean sheets, but I think it would give us a bit of more of a level head to our defence. But I still would say no. If you come back, then fair. But I'm not going to say, oh, fucking hell, whatever. But if he comes back, he comes back. But if I was to make the choice, I would say no. That's my stance on it.
I think sometimes when you make signings, you sign them as a gamble, don't you? And at the moment, somebody like Valin feels like a little bit of a gamble. Obviously, Nevitt, he's still got a lot to do to prove himself. I thought that he was good in the second half of the game today. When you bring in a loan player of somebody of Ronnie Edwards' caliber, you're not taking a gamble. You know exactly what you're going to get. You know the standard that he's going to be able to perform at, even if he's not played for sort of 6 months. You know what he can do. You know what his strengths are. Yes, he still has weaknesses because he's only sort of 21 years old and he's still developing himself. But I think that that's where this team sort of needs, in that they need the support of somebody that knows what they're doing at the back. Because like we said before, we've got a whole new back four. And then when you chuck in Bilo with that as well, who obviously didn't play for sort of 6 months in the second half of last season and has only just come in sort of the last month now, I think that they just sort of need somebody that is going to just sort of be happy, comfortable on the ball, is going to help them all develop and help them understand the role that they've got around them. So for me, it's an absolute no-brainer that if he's available and he wants to come back to Posh, that we try and get it done.
So we've focused a lot on the negatives, and it's very easy to do that on our defense. I think it is the biggest talking point, but I think it would be remiss of us as a group to completely ignore the positives of the performance. And ultimately we did win, and we scored 4 goals again, and we are absolutely flying going forward. So let's talk on the attackers. Lodz, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the front 6, I guess, and how they played today, and who are your standout players on the day.
Yeah, really good as usual. Created so many chances. There wasn't really many points in the second half. I didn't think we were going to score another goal. I thought the first half was a bit flat. But yeah, the second half we were just so dominant, playing all the way through them. The one player I thought stood out the most is actually one that Fergie criticised at his post-match interview. He hooked him off quite early as well, Malik Mothersill. I think it was Ashley that said it a couple of weeks ago. Well, we all discussed it actually. His ability to beat the fullback and get the ball in the box. And Ashley pointed out that often the balls he plays in the box don't get attacks because the player isn't there, and that might be because we haven't really got a natural striker in the box. Mothersill's got the brain of a natural striker and is probably playing the crosses to where he would be in that situation. But Ricky's obviously, he plays a bit differently to your average striker, and he's not always there to finish them. And I thought that happened loads today. And Fergie did criticise him. He said that his final ball wasn't great, but I don't think that was his fault. I think getting the ball in the box is such a hard part of the job, and that if you had Randall, Poku, Jones, and one of the midfielders in there, it's going to be a goal. And I think the lack of desire from those other players on the pitch is probably the reason why a lot of these balls weren't being converted into the goal.
I've got to be honest, I didn't listen to Fergie's interview, and I'm a little bit surprised that he was slagging him off, because I was proper shocked when he come off. I had Mothersill down as my man of the match. I just thought he was very, very good again today. Yeah, granted, I think one or two of his balls into the box were probably a bit overhit. Some of them are fucking hit hard, but, you know, for League One, we need to be a bit better than that. Overall, I thought he was very, very good. So, yeah, I was surprised when he come off. By the looks of it, he was as well. But, you know, we're not the manager. We don't make the decisions. I think out of the front 6, I think Poku was probably our weakest link, if I'm honest. I wouldn't say he was shit, but he wasn't to his high standard, which, you know, everyone has an off day as such. Just before we go back to the front 4, I think them 2 midfielders, again, complemented each other very, very well. De Havilland is like a bit of a, every week is impressing me by not doing a great, by not putting his head above the parapet, if that makes sense. He's just very consistent. He'll get the tackle done. He'll pass the ball. No flair, none of this. Unlucky not to score, if I'm honest. And that just goes back to what I was saying earlier about the luck. The fucking keeper just got a touch, you know, the last minute, get it off onto the crossbar. Any other time, that would have been a goal, you know. So that's a sort of luck that we're not really getting. But the midfield, I thought, them 2 guys in midfield were very, very good. Controlled it. Outstanding. But yeah, I'll just go back to Mothersill. I can't believe he was getting any criticism today, because I thought he was very, very good. So what do I know about football? What do I know?
No, I think that's the important thing, isn't it? Like we always say, we all have different opinions. We all see the game differently when we're sat in the GH, the London Road end, the family stand, the main stand. And I discussed it with Lodz. Lodz was sat behind me today. And we sort of acknowledge the fact that when Malik Mothersill's on the left-hand side from where I sit, you see him attacking the defender. You then get a great view of him in front of you. Whereas with Poku, if he's not doing anything in the second half, he's so far away on the other side of the pitch in front of the family stand that you don't get to appreciate it because you can't see it. And like Del said, I am just absolutely astounded that Fergie has decided to maybe dig Malik out as a thing. I don't know. Maybe he said that because of the way that he reacted to being subbed off. But the way that I viewed it at 2-1 when we were losing is that he's our penalty taker. There was every chance that tie today went to extra time and it went to penalties. And there's nobody that I would have preferred to have been on the pitch than Malik Mothersil if it went to a penalty shootout. Now, fortunately, it didn't get that far, did it? And we scored 3 goals in sort of 15 minutes and it was fantastic. And then everybody was up and it was like, right, cool, perfect. We've qualified for the next round. But yeah, I think that Malik's right to be a little bit aggrieved by the fact that Fergie's taken a swipe at him. But the flip side is he goes off the pitch, as does, I think it was Katongo, and Sam Curtis switched over, and then we scored 3 goals. So, like Del says, what do we know when it comes to football?
I was literally going to say exactly the same thing. So I thought he was the best player on the pitch. We take him off, then fuck me, we do score them 3 goals. So I've echoed exactly what you was going to say there. So yeah, we haven't got a clue really, have we? What do we know? What do we know? Nothing, clearly.
One player that obviously scored 2 goals today, Ricky, or 3 if you include the offside goal, which I don't think it was offside. Ashley thinks it was. I'm not sure. Ricky's scoring loads of goals now, isn't he? Some of them are really good finishes as well. I don't know what's happened to him, because he's so much better than the player that we had last season, where the ball would sometimes like cannon off of his foot, or he'd like get tangled up on the ball when he's trying to score goals. He's clinical now. I think Phil Adlam was even mesmerised as well. He was asking all the players in his interviews about Ricky. I know there's a thing about him loving the FA Cup, and he always scores in the FA Cup games, and he got 2 at Newport as well. But I mean, we say it all the time. If he could keep this goal scoring up, he is going to be such an asset for someone at the end of this season.
No, I agree. Top goal scorer in the FA Cup so far this season. The FA Cup proper, of course, with 4 goals. Joint alongside the lad that plays at Exeter, I think it is McGuinness. So absolutely no complaints from me. And like you say, that ball comes through from de Havilland. He uses his pace to get away from the defenders. And in times gone by, Ricky shits himself and probably spoons it over the bar or wide. And he just takes a cool, calm, composed finish and puts it into the back of the net. And then in the second half, ironically, we were sort of discussing that he'd sort of been a little bit quiet in the half, Lodz, didn't we? And then he pops up with a goal. Archie Collins makes a fantastic interception from one of their goal kicks, and we put the ball in the back of the net. And I think that is sort of a credit to how strong the midfield were in taking the ball off the defence today, pushing forwards, covering at right back, left back when Curtis, Sparks, Katonga were all attacking. And obviously Fergie's mentioned it before. I'm not sure that I see a way in for Cipriano at the moment. We have probably another fantastic midfield pairing like we did last season, and it's going to take some breaking down, that's for sure, after those performances today.
Well, I'm going to come in and just say I completely disagree with you, Ash. De Havilland is fine as a third midfielder, but as Del said, he never puts his head above the parapet in a sense. And Cipriano, I think it's really, how can I term this? I think it's almost convenient to forget how good he was last season. He was arguably our player of the season in some senses. He was brilliant last season. He was a goal scoring threat. His height will help us no end. He's better defensively than de Havilland by a mile. I don't think there's any question of a doubt that when Hector Cipriano is fit, he will make us a much better team than when we have Ryan de Havilland in it. And de Havilland has been fine. He's been fine, but he's a very much a 7 out of 10 player. Cipriano is a player with ability way above this level. And when he's fit, he should be straight back in this team.
That he may be, but this season he's been way below his own standard. And I don't think that we should be dropping a consistent 7 out of 10 player for somebody that may drop some 4 or 5s along the way. I don't think that it's just as simple as that. Somebody needs to have a drop in form. I wouldn't be just chucking him straight back in and going, yeah, cool, fantastic, off you go. You can slot straight back in again. I think he needs to earn that right, even as club captain. That's for sure.
No, I've got to agree with Ash, to be fair, that Cipriano shouldn't come straight back in. What I did say about de Havilland is, about putting his head above the parapet. It's not that he's not very good and he's not all this. He's just consistent, very consistent, and he does the job that you expect him to do. And he deserves the right to keep his position. There's no way that Cipriano should come in and De Havilland should step aside. Cipriano has got to earn his right to get back in the starting 11, in my opinion, because at the moment, I don't have an issue with our midfield.
Yeah, if there's one thing we can all agree on is that the other midfield slot is permanently Archie Collins, and I don't think it'd be fair for us not to mention him again because he was great again, very consistent. The assist that he got today was great. If that was Randall or any of the attackers, we would be saying how good it was. But about a minute before that, he was slotting in at centre back to help with our building from the back, and I don't quite remember him even running to get into that position. He was just at the back at one moment, and then literally playing a through ball through to Ricky the next. He does this all the time as well, and I think it's amazing how he doesn't get spoken about the same as some of our other players, as not so much how good of a player he is, but how much of an asset he would be to a bigger team. We don't really see championship clubs linked with him, but I think his ability is great. The weight of that pass to Ricky as well is just absolutely spot on. And it's not the weight of a pass to any striker. He perfectly weighted that pass, knowing exactly how fast Ricky was and that he would pip that defender to that ball.
So I think we've covered most of the Notts County game at this point. However, there is a giant elephant in the room, and that is a clip which is going very much viral on social media at this point. And that, of course, is Bila Kapic's horrendous clanger at the end of the match. For those who haven't seen it, I'm assuming most of the people have by now, but Bila Kapic takes a free kick, kicks it straight to Notts County's player, tries to run backwards and manage to run into his own post. Now, for those of us who have watched Bila Kapic, and this is only my opinion, but for those of us who have watched Bila Kapic for, a year and a half now, really, his Posh career has been littered with errors like this, these sort of viral moments which just make him into sort of a bit of an internet meme that you just can't account for them happening in your team. And for all the good Bila Kapic has done throughout, sort of since he stepped in for Jed Steer, I think we've all been relatively impressed with Bila Kapic. His Bolton performance was superb, and otherwise he's been largely steady. However, today was the Bila Kapic of old, and my real hope is that this error doesn't spiral into a numerous errors that it did last season. Now, Ash is for those of you watching on YouTube will have seen him shaking his head during what I've just been saying. He does have a picture of Bila Kapic behind him as well, and is probably his biggest fan. So I'm going to go to Ash, and I think he's going to defend our big Aussie in goal, but I won't preempt him. So Ash, take it away.
Well, look, firstly, I really, really fucking hope that he's not on Twitter and social media at the moment, because we know that he's had issues with comments and things that he's seen in the past. And like John says, viral moments like this where he's made a mistake and will only knock his confidence. And we don't want to go back to where we were sort of probably January, February time, maybe even December time. I'd just like to sort of make the statement that I would love for everybody to head down tomorrow morning or the next time that they've got some daylight and some free time, head down to your local park, go and put a football down where Bilo took that slip over, and then try and make your way back to the goal. He's lost his bearings, and it is absolutely nothing more than that. And anybody that says that that is just one of these absolute clangers, the fact is that most other goalkeepers probably just watch it go over their head and they let it go into the back of the net without even trying to get back. The bloke has had a little bit of a disaster and has ended up making a small collision with the goal because he's lost his bearings. That is all that it is. It's nothing more than that. And at the same time, we still won the game. To say that he's going to start reverting back to these performances where he was absolutely stinking with his feet is totally irrelevant. And actually, since he's sort of come back in, other than one mistake maybe in the first game that I remember, his feet have been fine. And it was always his feet that were the issue. He doesn't drop the ball when it comes out for corners. He doesn't drop catches. His distribution is fantastic. He's slipped over, and that's the real mistake. The slip is the mistake. If he doesn't slip over, none of this happens. And he is very, very unfortunate that it's ended the way that it has, in the ball going in the back of the net.
I think you're being very generous, Ash. I really do. I think you were very harsh on Jed Steer throughout the season. I think if you're honest and you apply the same principles of your arguments to Jed Steer towards what you're doing at Billy-Capich, you would say that's a clanger. There's no getting around it. And let's face it, I like Billy-Capich. He makes some great saves, and there's definitely potential there. I think we all agree there's potential there. But until he gets rid of these horrendous errors, and this is a horrendous error, but basic errors that aren't that bad do not go this viral on social media, and everyone agrees that it's a terrible error. He can't keep doing it. He has to learn from his errors. And yes, it's been good. So I'd keep him in goal for now. But if he makes another mistake and compounds this again, we're seeing the same old Billy-Capich as we did last season. And I really want him to succeed. So I'm not going to go too harsh on him. But he has to get this clanger out of his game, because he's never going to go above this level whilst he's still making these errors that are just beyond comprehension in a way.
I totally disagree in the sense that he's a goalkeeper that's learning his trade still. Last season was his first season in professional football properly, with lots of game time. This is his second season. When I think about somebody like Joe Lewis, the fantastic career that he had, the bloke couldn't catch a ball, couldn't catch a cold. And to say that maybe, I would have berated Jed Steer, I probably wouldn't, because all he would have done would have lost his bearings. The problem with Jed Steer is that when the ball's on target, you can't fucking reach it. At least we know that Billy-Capich has got long enough arms and a good enough jump to make a save when the ball's not in sort of like the sides of the goal. And you think back to Rotherham, the lad cut in off at Malik Wilkes, I think it was. We know that Bilo saves that. Steer doesn't save it, and he'll be just as disappointed to concede those. The sole focus, as I've said many a time, of the goalkeeper is to keep the ball out of the net. Yes, he's lost his bearings today, but I do not genuinely think that many other goalkeepers, if he turns around and tries to run towards his goal, he loses the ball, and then it probably ends up hitting him on the back of the head and then going into the back of the net anyway. He's tried to keep his eyes on the ball, and he's lost where the goal is. It's as simple as that. It is nowhere near as bad as people are making out.
I think what doesn't help Bilo's case is that he didn't really have a lot to do with shots wise. We know his strengths. It's shot stopping. It's his reactions. It's his reach, but he didn't really get the opportunity to show that today. So when you think back to his performance during the game, you are literally only thinking about maybe one of the first two goals he could have come out and claimed, and then the slip at the end. And it is a mistake. I don't think it's a bad mistake. Like Ashley said, it can happen if you're slipping over and you're running backwards at an angle like he did. Chances are you aren't going to know exactly where the goal is. And I have to admit, I didn't get a very good view of it in real time at the game. But when I watched the replay back, I did laugh out loud because it is very comical, and I can see why it's going viral. But the problem we have here is that it's Bilo. And he makes these mistakes, and we're probably thinking about his mental health a bit here, where we've just won the game. You've got players like Ricky J. Jones scoring twice, who's buzzing, and Bilo's probably going to have a rough evening where, even though we've won, even though we're through to the next round, he's probably going to be up all night thinking about another mistake that he's made, which, grand scheme of things, like we said, I don't even think is that bad. It is just because of the errors he's made previously, and he's just adding it to his portfolio.
It's like I don't want to bang the same drum again, but it's a slip. And if I think back to last season, the season before that, we had a lad who's now banging the goals in that appeared to look like he was wearing ice skates on the football pitch. Ricky couldn't stay on his feet. Think about how many times he slipped over, and nobody can argue that. Like, he used to slip over every time that he tried to run towards the ball. He's finally put some decent studs into his boots. And now all of a sudden he's this fantastic footballer that we've got. All that it is just incorrect footwear for the situation that we had today. Nothing more than that.
I don't even think it's incorrect footwear, if I'm totally honest, because he took a kick, he slipped, right? And they scored from it was a freak goal. You know, if you watch it, the way it sort of curls and bends and whatever goes in the net, it was a freak goal. How many times do you see a goalkeeper every week? There'll be a goalkeeper who will take a goal kick, they slip on their ass. You know, how often does that go viral? Yeah, it don't go viral. He slipped over. The only reason it's gone viral is because it was a fucking freak. It was a freak goal. You know, he could have tried that 99 times out of 100. That would not have gone in, but it did. And that is why it's getting a load of shit for a mistake. I'm not having it, to be fair. It is what it is. There's not that many sort of viral videos from his game the other week. It was a game we give him a 10 for when he was superb. You know, he was outstanding. Fuck me. Save here, save there, save there. There's no videos about how good he was then. I think we just need to chill the fuck out, right? It wasn't even a mistake. He did have a shit game. He didn't have a great game because he had fuck all to do, to be honest. It was average. But I don't think we should really chastise him as much as what it was. If it was a goal kick and he slipped, would we have been chastising him? Probably not. It's just because of where it was and the ball went in from 40 yards away because it was a freak goal and it was a wind-assisted goal. So, do you know what, Bilo? If you do watch this, I think you said you might do. Fuck John, he's talking bollocks, mate. Just listen to me, Ash and Lodz.
Another thing we should probably mention as well, it was something else that Fergie said in his post-match interview. Why are we taking that free kick long? And that's not on Bilo, that's on everyone on the pitch. Someone should have managed that situation. Knots were down to 10 men. There's no way that they would have harmed us if we were just playing out from the back like we normally do. But for whatever reason, we've decided to pump the ball long. And because of that, there was no defenders anywhere near the guy that scored. And you think if we did have some defenders back, and Bilo made that mistake, there was a chance the defender could block the shot or get on the line and stop it from going in. So there's also that, just being more aware and more alert to the situation on the pitch.
Okay, so before we leave the FA Cup, I think we've done most performances in the team. We're just going to go around and get some thoughts on who everybody wants in the third round. Obviously, the third round is when the Premier League and the Championship teams enter. So I'd love to hear if you want, a big team, United away, or if you'd rather have a lowly team that we can get through again for the next round. So we'll go around. Del, do you want to start us? Who's your preferred opponents for this next round?
Okay, well, first of all, I want it to be an away tie. I ain't really bothered who the fuck it is if we get it at home, but I would rather go away, and I'd rather it be someone like, I don't know, I'd even take Wigan, just so I can get Wigan. But no, I'm joking apart. It's got to be an away game. I do like the FA Cup. I love it, and I like the away fixture. Just really highlighting that, if we was away at Notts County today, our following would have been superb. 100%. I think our following at home was quite poor. Now, I do generally, so many people would rather have gone to Notts County away than come to. So, ratio, we would have had a very good following, like Notts County did with us today. But anyway, so I would go either a massive team away, someone like, I don't know, where haven't I been? Well, I don't know, a big team, or a real shitty team away that I've not been to before. I don't want another League One team. I don't want to run of the mill somebody who's played all the time, but I want an away day.
I agree with that, Del. Give me the lowest ranked side left in the competition away from home so that we can go there and absolutely pump them and then increase our chances of a TV game in round 4, so that we've got a big crowd either at London Road or then in round 4, hopefully a big team away. Absolutely now should be about progressing through the competition as far as we can so that we get as much money into the bank account as possible.
Yeah, my answer is similar to what you've both said. I do prefer the away games. I do like the FA Cup in general, but just to play someone new would be good. I'm not a big fan of these drawing the big teams at home thing. I hated the Man City game the other year, and there's so much more money available to us if we get a big team away. So if we get like your Arsenal, your Tottenhams, someone with a big stadium, then yeah, great. But if not, I'm with Ashley, a nice non-league club or a League 2 club away, so we could tick it off and get a good win and give us a better chance of securing a longer cup run.
Well, I want I definitely think I want Dagenham and Redbridge away. I would let them play Romany Critchlow, despite him being on loan. I would actively encourage them to play Romany Critchlow and guarantee our route through to the 4th round. So that's my plan and that's my hope. Anyway, moving on from the FA Cup, we've got a big game on Wednesday night, an important league game actually. It feels like one that we really have to win. We've got Burton Albion at home. Now, look at the form guide, look at the table. This should be a win. Adele, what are we thinking in terms of the game?
Goals. No clean sheet. I'd pretty much guarantee no clean sheet. I think it'll be another good game. You know, there's going to be goals either end. However shit the opponent are, we will concede goals at the moment because we've done it to death throughout the pod tonight about our defence is just, for whatever reason, it's not working. I just think it's another opportunity to go and score some goals. You know, use our strengths, which is going forward, and see where we go. Maybe get Katongo back in the middle and maybe bring Donnelly back to right back. I don't know. I really don't know what we should do at the back, but we need to. I don't even know, to be fair, but it's another game that we should be winning. Simple as that, and scoring a few goals. So I wouldn't be disappointed to keep the same team as what we did today, if I'm honest, and just see where we go.
Yeah, look. You know me, I like to say controversial things, but Burton are absolutely fucking dog shite. I know that Max definitely predicted that they were going to finish top 6. Not a fucking cat in hell's chance is that happening. So we should be absolutely pumping these. They never turn up when they play us at London Road. They're shit. And I ultimately should go and score 8 goals. I'm not sure that I would be bringing James Donnelly back in. I now think that there are definitely 2 players significantly further ahead in Jadel Katongo and Sam Curtis after today's performance. And then I think that Sparks slots straight back in at left back. I think that you probably are right that maybe there is definitely a centre-back question and pairing to be answered. But in terms of your front 6, they're going to stay the same now, aren't they, until somebody sort of starts to drop off. So let's go out there. Let's go and get a lot of goals and maybe just try to concede 1, maybe 2. It could be like an Accrington game, couldn't it? Like an 8-2 again.
Yeah, you said the centre-back pairing. There's a question there. If Manny's suspended, we don't have a lot of options. We're either playing Katongo and Nevitt together, who I don't know if they've played together at centre-back yet. And then we've also got Volin and either put Katongo back in or just bring Nevitt in and keep Katongo at right back. I think I'd do the latter. I think both Katongo and Curtis were good today. I'd keep them as is. I'd just bring Nevitt in for Manny. Obviously keep Nevitt on his preferred left-hand side. I think the only other change I can see Fergie doing is playing Odo instead of Mothersill, just based on Odo playing well every time he comes on. And Fergie's praising him in every interview. And he's got an excuse now to drop Malik. I don't agree with it. I wouldn't do it personally. I'd keep Malik, but I can see Fergie's now got a reason to bring Odo in, and that is by dropping Malik.
Yeah, so just to touch on Burton a little bit, for those who don't know, obviously they struggled a lot towards the back end of 2 seasons ago. Tried to play a bit more progressive, had new owners come in. They've actually invested quite a lot of money over the summer, and there was a huge amount of player turnover where they've tried to play a bit more of a productive style of football. Clearly hasn't paid off. Bottom of the league, 1 win all season. It is clearly a game that we should be winning. And the good news is their defence is equally as bad as ours because we have both conceded 29 goals. So you think our defence is bad, theirs is just as bad. So it is possible, as Dale said, we are not the only team in the league conceding goals at this rate. Unfortunately, Burton are bottom, and that is largely the reason. So you would certainly like to think that we should trouble the back of the net quite a lot on Wednesday night. Ash, do you want to go first on the score predictions?
Yeah, look, I've already laid my cards down on the table slightly, haven't I? I'm just going to go in with an 8-2. I think that we'll have 2 hat-tricks on Wednesday night. and then probably an own goal and a penalty, because that's probably just the way that our luck goes at the moment. But yeah, 2 hat-tricks, a Ricky, and then let's go with a Poku hat-trick, and then Randall and Otto get a goal if we think that Otto's going to start.
Yeah, I'm going to predict big as well. 7-1. I can see us scoring 6 and more. So we'll go with it. Everyone's going to get on the score sheet, even below 7 goals.
0-0. No, I reckon I'm going to go 5-1. I generally do think we're going to score a few goals, but we will concede the obvious goal that we always do. So 5-1 for me.
And to round up a 4-win prediction streak, I'm also going to go for a Posh win. I think we might well concede twice again, so I'm just going to say 3-2, because apparently we just can't stop conceding 2 goals at London Road as a minimum. So yeah, I think that brings us to a close today. We will be back after the Burton game, which is obviously Wednesday, so we should be back sometime on Thursday or Friday to record after that. In that, we will also be previewing the big derby match. Is it the biggest derby for Peterborough United? I'm sure we will discuss that ahead of that game next Monday. So join us then, please. And that's all from us. Up the Posh.
Up the Poshcast.
Up the Poshcast.
Thank you all for listening. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Up The Poshcast. Let us know your feedback. Give us any ideas for topics you would like us to discuss, or any questions you'd like us to answer. Up The Poshcast. It was fucking excellent. And there's a group of women in front of us, and they said, "We're going to start doing the Mexican wave. Are you in?" And I was in a back cry. I went, "No, I fucking ain't."